Hello, my name is Dr. Amir Goldenberg, and I'm an internal medicine physician here in Hollywood, Florida. I'd like to talk today about the proper use of the face mask in order to prevent the coronavirus infection. Unfortunately, there's a lot of miscommunication and confusion and misleading information in how to prevent the spreading of this COVID 19 virus. The coronavirus infection is spreading rapidly through the population, but there are some few effective ways that we can use to mitigate this spread, and this has been proven for the general population. As long as everyone follows these guidelines, we should be able to slow down the spread of this disease, but it will require everyone's cooperation. It is important to keep in mind these three measures. The first one is physical distancing. Doesn't mean social distancing, but when we're outdoors, we should at least keep 6 feet or 2 meters distance from other people. Something else that we should keep in mind is washing our hands at least for 20 seconds with soap and water, and if not available, we can use a hand sanitizer. And the third one will be using mouth and nose covering. That can be done with face masks. Today, I want to discuss the proper use of face covering. It is important to remember that most of the spread of this virus is through asymptomatic people. That means that someone has no symptoms at all, feels fine, and can give someone else the virus. And that's why it's so tricky. So covering someone's mouth will prevent the other one to get sick. So if everyone will be using a mask, we'll be protecting each other. It is imperative to cover both the mouth as well as the nose with the face covering. This will prevent the spread of the virus to other people, even if you have no symptoms. This is hard, but it's a learned skill and we can all do it. If you think dentists and doctors, we have been doing it for a while, and even though it's hard to talk to other wearing the mask or it becomes hot, it is safe and it's the right thing to do. I have heard misleading information about the use of face covering, that it can cause low oxygen on the blood or rebreathing your own CO2, but unfortunately this is untrue. As we know, some professionals has been using this mask for a long period of time and for years without any known health consequences. The best option is to use a double layer cloth mask, something like this, that can be washed once per week, and again needs to cover both your nose and your mouth. Second, if available, you can use a surgical mask like this one, and the advantage is that it's light and easier to use for a long period of time, but it is also important to secure the top of the mask on the tip of the nose, on the bridge of the nose, so it doesn't slide down. Unfortunately, the bandanas has proven to be not very effective to prevent the exposure of someone with coronavirus to others. So I recommend trying to avoid as much as possible. Also, I've seen people wearing just a face shield, but not wearing the mask. If you want to wear a face shield, go on, but you should always wear the mask appropriately as discussed. Regarding the different face masks that may become available, it is important to distinguish among them. For example, there's the one that the construction workers use to prevent dust inhalation. Again, those not necessarily are good to prevent the spreading of the virus. For example, they have a valve that may allow the air to go out, so it's easy to breathe, but in this case, it doesn't prevent the infection to be spread out, actually can worsen the exposure. The idea is that the mask will prevent the aerosolization of the saliva or the sneeze, even when one just talks, and those viruses coming out to be passed on to other people. Try to avoid the use of the mask that contains a valve, usually it's a round circle on the side or it's a square, because they actually make the exposure and bring out the virus easier. Also, you may have read or heard about the N95 masks, something like this that doctors use, Those are not recommended for the general population use, and there's two reasons. Number one, they need to be well fitted, and they need to be airtight in order to be effective. And the second one, that possibly is more important, they're harder to breathe and keep on. So what happens when someone tries to get this usually more expensive and airtight mask, they cannot tolerate it for a long period of time, and they keep taking it off of their mouth, nose, or both. Also make sure that the elastic around the ear doesn't become loose after a while. If so, you need to get a new mask. This is important for kids where the regular size mask may be a little bit too loose. So you may either loop around their ears or try to get one that fits them correctly and they don't fall from their nose and their mouth. There's no need to wear a mask when you're driving in the car, either by yourself or driving around people who you live with. That actually can cause you not to be able to tolerate it when you go outdoors for a longer period of time. The other thing is, don't wear a mask when you're exercising out, either biking or jogging. The viruses spread not through just the air, but only when you're in front of someone else, like during a conversation, not for a brief period of time. My advice is to keep it simple but effective. Sometimes we try to do more, but we end doing less. The idea is to protect each other, and if everyone is on board, we can fight this virus from keep disseminating. The other thing, please educate others in a cordial manner regarding this topic of covering both your nose and your mouth. And if you find this video helpful, please pass it on.